They love to talk about my success, but they never talk about the hell I went through. They never talk about the war. I went from building the most iconic real estate projects in the world to staring down nearly $1 billion in personal debt. 900 million. Wrap your head around that. The media, they declared me finished. They couldn't wait to write me off. Wall Street laughed. The headlines were brutal. Trump's done, Trump crashes, the empire falls. They wanted the blood. But guess what? I didn't fold. I didn't crawl away. I didn't ask for sympathy. I fought. Because that's what real winners do. And believe me, I'm the real deal. You don't survive something like that by thinking small. You don't climb out of the hole by whispering. I went to war with reality. Every morning I woke up knowing I was in the fight of my life, and I loved it. The pressure, I thrived on it. The doubt, I turned it into drive. While other people would have filed bankruptcy and disappeared, I showed up. I faced the banks, I faced the press. I faced every critic with one thing in my back pocket: belief. Not just in business, in myself, total belief. That's what kept me moving when everything told me to stop. They wanted me to run, they wanted me to beg. I didn't. I negotiated, I strategized. I played the long game. I knew how to work the system better than anyone, and I used that knowledge to protect my empire. That's what strategy looks like in the real world. You think success is all yachts and penthouses? No, success is survival. Success is grit. Success is staying in the game when everything is telling you to quit. That's what I did. I stayed in the damn game. People talk about rock bottom like it's this horrible place. For me, it was the best classroom I ever stepped into. I learned who was real and who was fake. I learned how to bleed and still smile. I learned how to walk into a room full of people who hated me and still own it. That kind of toughness doesn't come from books. It comes from battle. And I battled for every inch of my comeback. The thing is, most people don't even get close to success because they're terrified of that fall. They're scared to fail, so they never start. Let me tell you something. The fear of failing is a guaranteed way to stay broke, stay irrelevant, stay small. I failed bigger than most people dream. And I came back bigger than most people believe. You know what that means? It means failure isn't the end. It's the forge. It's the fire. And you either come out stronger or you get burned and stay burned. I sold things I loved. The Trump princess, my yacht gone. I made cuts nobody saw. I didn't cry about it. I made the moves that needed to be made. That's what leadership looks like. That's what being the boss really means. Everyone wants the crown, but no one wants to bleed for it. I bled. I sacrificed. I rebuilt. And when I rose, I made sure I came back harder, louder, bigger than before. They couldn't ignore me anymore. They had to respect the comeback. And you know what else? I remembered every face that laughed, every name that turned their back. I used that as fuel. I still do. You think I forgot the bankers who slammed the door? The reporters who printed lies? I didn't. I just didn't waste time crying about it. I got better, I got sharper. And I let my wins do the talking. That's what you need to understand. Silence the noise with success. You don't clap back with tweets. You clap back with towers. That's why I never feared failure again. I had been through the fire and I walked out bulletproof. You can't scare a man who's rebuilt his empire from rubble. You can't shame someone who owns every mistake. That's the power of facing failure like a champion. You learn to love it. You learn to use it. You make failure your assistant, not your enemy. Most of you can't do that. You fail once and you stay down. You quit. You talk yourself out of your own destiny. It's disgusting. You weren't built for comfort, you were built to conquer. But somewhere along the way, you bought the lie that struggle means stop. It doesn't. Struggle means go. I remember pacing my office floor, looking at maps, market trends, numbers while most people were asleep. I was playing the long game. Every minute counted. Every decision mattered. That's what it takes. You don't bounce back by accident. You bounce back with obsession. While they laughed, I was planning. While they slept, I was setting up deals. You can't beat a man who refuses to give up. You can't stop someone who sees loss as leverage. And that's exactly what I did. I turned every failure into leverage. You want to know what that kind of pressure does to a man? It either breaks you or it builds you. For me, it built me into a weapon, into a machine, into someone who didn't just want to win, someone who needed to. I needed to win. I needed to show every last one of them that Trump doesn't go quietly, that Trump doesn't fade, that Trump rises. You know how powerful that is? When the whole world counts you out and you write your own comeback? That's not motivation. That's domination. That's legacy. Every empire is tested. Every king faces exile. But the great ones, oh, we come back. And when we do, we make it impossible for the world to forget us. My story wasn't built on easy wins. It was built on war. And that war taught me everything. It taught me to trust my gut. It taught me to stand when others collapse. It taught me to see 10 moves ahead. I didn't just survive, I evolved. I became something else. Something the small thinkers can't comprehend. And that's why they still talk about me. That's why my name is global. Because I never stopped. I never played small. I never accepted defeat. I walked through the fire. And I didn't just come out alive, I came out leading. And if you're serious about your life, your dream, your legacy, then you better stop crying and start moving. Stop doubting and start building. Stop playing small and start thinking so big it makes people uncomfortable. That's the level I operate on. That's the level where winning becomes natural, where success becomes a habit. And it only happens when you stop running from failure and start mastering it. Let me tell you something most people never figure out. Success starts in the mind. Period. It's not about your background. It's not about your resources. It's not even about how smart you are. How you think, how you carry yourself, how you see the world, and more importantly, how you see yourself. When I walk into a room, I already own it in my mind. That's how I've always operated. I don't wait for permission. I don't ask for approval. I walk in like I belong because I decided I belong. That's mindset. And believe me, it changes everything. Winners think big, losers think safe. And that's the problem. You've been programmed to play it safe your entire life. Don't take too many risks. Don't stand out. Don't make people uncomfortable. What a joke. I made billions making people uncomfortable. I became president doing the exact opposite of what the experts said. I challenged the status quo. I flipped the script. I rewrote the entire playbook because I had the guts to believe bigger. That's not arrogance, that's vision. That's what winners have. And if you don't have it, you better develop it fast, because this world doesn't slow down for small thinkers. Most people walk around like they've already lost. Heads down, shoulders slouched, apologizing for who they are. Let me ask you, why the hell are you shrinking? Who told you to make yourself smaller to fit in? That's loser behavior. You're not here to shrink. You're here to shine. You're here to dominate. You're here to take up space. You weren't born to blend in, you were born to break through. But that only happens when you flip the switch in your mind and say, I'm done thinking like a coward. I'm done begging. I'm done doubting. That's when everything starts to change. When I was building Trump Tower, I didn't ask what was realistic. I didn't ask what people thought was possible. I asked one question: what's the biggest, boldest move I can make right now? And then I made it. Because I trusted my vision. I trusted my instincts. You think I had a map for this? You think I had a perfect plan with guarantees? No, I had belief. Belief that no matter what happened, I would figure it out. And that belief was stronger than any setback. That's what you need, not motivation, not hype. Belief. Ruthless, unshakable belief in yourself. You know why most people fail? Because they make decisions from fear. Every move they make is about avoiding risk, avoiding pain, avoiding failure. And guess what? That fear becomes their cage. It becomes their prison. I don't operate like that. I make decisions from power, from strength, from certainty. Even when I don't have all the answers, I act like I do. Because that confidence bends the world around you. When you show up certain, people follow. Doors open. Opportunities appear. But if you show up shaky, if you show up unsure, you get steamrolled. Every time. Mindset is how you respond when things go wrong. Anyone can be confident when things are easy. But when the deal falls through, when the numbers crash, when the spotlight fades, what do? That's your real mindset. That's the test. When I lost nearly $1 billion, I didn't flinch. I didn't cry, I recalibrated. I said, okay, let's rebuild, let's restructure, let's rise again. That's how I think, that's why I win. Because I don't fold, I fortify. And if you want to live like a winner, you need that mentality in your blood. Let me be clear, there is no secret formula. No magic app, no perfect timing. You have to decide to win. You have to condition your mind every day to think big, act bold, and move fast. You have to flood your brain with power, not poison, because the world will feed you poison every single day. The news, distractions, opinions, negativity, trash, you have to reject that. You have to become your own machine, a fortress, a system. I don't wake up hoping for a good day. I wake up ready to take it, because I train my mind for war. I train my mind for impact. You have to do the same. Most people don't even realize how weak their thinking is. They settle. They say things like, maybe someday. If things work out, that's loser language. That's the vocabulary of victims. I never say maybe. I say when, I don't hope, I decide. I don't wish, I execute. That's the mindset. Ruthless clarity, unshakable decision making. When I make up my mind, it's done. And that energy pulls everything else into place. People feel it, they respect it, they follow it. You want to be a leader? Start thinking like one. Start acting like one. Thinking big means refusing to live a small life. It means setting goals so massive they scare you. It means refusing to accept average. That's what I did with my brand. I didn't just want to own buildings, I wanted to brand the skyline. I wanted Trump to mean something: luxury, power, dominance. I built a brand so strong, people paid to license my name. I think about that, that's not luck. That's mental architecture. That's building an identity in the mind of the world. And you can do it too, but not if you keep thinking like a pawn. You want to be a king? Then think like a king. Let's move like one, speak like one, own it. You've got to stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop feeling guilty for dreaming bigger than your friends. Stop letting broke people tell you how to live. I didn't let small minds limit me, and neither should you. You owe it to yourself to live fully, to live large, to live loud. That's not selfish, it's necessary. Because the world needs more people who play to win, not people who play to survive. The world needs leaders, disruptors, giants. And giants don't think like insects. I've seen this over and over again. People shrink themselves to make others feel comfortable. They pretend they don't want success. They hide their ambition, they bury their fire. Pathetic. That's not noble. That's weak. You're not helping anyone by playing small. You're not making the world better by staying broke and quiet. The world doesn't need more martyrs. It needs more warriors. It needs more people who stand up and say, I will not be average. I will not be normal. I will be legendary. That's the mindset. That's the mission. When I ran for president, the entire system told me no. The media laughed. The politicians sneered. The elite said I had no chance. And you know what I said? Watch me, I didn't back down. I didn't play nice. I came in like a hammer, and I won. Because I saw something they didn't. I saw the cracks in the system. I saw the opportunity, and I had the guts to step in and take it. That's mindset, that's dominance, that's leadership. And whether you love me or hate me, you can't deny this, I played to win. I always do. So ask yourself, how are you thinking right now? Are you thinking big, or are you thinking scared? Are you creating power, or are you playing the victim? Are you shaping your future, or are you letting the world shape it for you? This is your moment to decide. This is your moment to rewrite the code, to rewire your brain, to become someone who demands more, who expects more, who creates more. Because the only thing standing between you and everything you want is the story you keep telling yourself. Change the story and you change your life. So let's cut through the noise. You've heard enough about dreams. Let's talk about action. Let's talk about execution, because that's where most people fail. They talk big, they dream loud, they post motivational quotes, but they don't move. They don't act. And action is where the game is won. Not in your head, not in your notebook. It's in the real world, on the battlefield. You want to win? You better start making moves that scare you. Big moves, strategic moves, calculated moves. That's what I've done my entire life. That's why my buildings stand tall and yours are still on paper. Every empire I built, every deal I closed, every headline I made, it all came down to action. Relentless action. I didn't wait for confidence to show up. I created it through movement. I didn't wait to be ready. I decided I was ready, and then I figured it out along the way. That's what winners do. They leap, they adapt, they learn in real time. While losers are still talking about step one, winners are already 10 deals deep. Let's talk Trump Tower again. That was no fluke. That wasn't luck. That was vision turned into strategy, and strategy turned into relentless execution. I wanted the best site, I went after it. I wanted the air rights. I negotiated like hell. I wanted the highest end retailers. I gave them deals nobody else could offer. Every inch of that building was designed to send one message: power. I didn't just want a tower, I wanted a symbol. And I got it. That didn't happen because I sat around thinking. It happened because I moved fast, hard, smart. That's the part you need to understand. Strategy isn't about overthinking. It's not about waiting for the perfect blueprint. It's about taking smart, aggressive steps based on information, instinct, and courage. You look at the board, you see your opponents. You calculate where the leverage is, and then you strike. You don't ask for permission, you don't wait for applause. You move with precision and confidence, and you adjust on the fly. That's how I built in New York. That's how I took over real estate. That's how I took over television. That's how I walked into politics and shocked the entire planet. I outplayed everyone because I outthought them and I outacted them. You want to build your brand? You want to build your business? Then start building systems, not just dreams. Systems win. I had systems for real estate, for branding, for licensing, for media. People think I'm everywhere because of luck. No, it's by design. I built empires inside empires. I built a name that prints money in multiple industries. Hotels, golf, clothing, TV, real estate, all under one brand. And you know what I used? Strategy and speed. While they were hesitating, I was expanding. Now look at The Apprentice. That show wasn't just entertainment, it was a power move. I used that platform to display dominance, to show the world how I lead, how I negotiate, how I fire people who don't perform. That wasn't about fame, it was about leverage. That show expanded the brand into homes across the country. It turned You're Fired into a cultural hammer. People think that was just TV, it wasn't. It was marketing, it was business. And it exploded my brand value across the board. That's what happens when you think long term, when you think with leverage in mind. Here's a lesson you won't get from school. Everything is leverage. Your time, your skills, your voice, your brand, your attention. You either learn how to use those things or you get used by people who do. I didn't have time to chase distractions. I focused on where the power was. I went where the leverage lived. That's how you build momentum that's impossible to stop. That's how you move from playing defense to playing offense in every area of your life. People say, Trump, you always look confident. Of course I do. You know why? Because I prepare, because I plan, because I move fast and I move with intention. I don't wing it, I don't guess, I study. I surround myself with killers, not clowns. I put people in position who can execute. I delegate with dominance. That's leadership. That's how you scale. You want to grow? Then stop trying to do everything yourself. Build a system, train people, empower them, and then scale like a madman. That's how I turned a family real estate operation into a global brand. And let me say this, no move matters if you're not measuring, if you're not tracking. If you don't know your numbers, you're not running a business, you're running a fantasy. I knew my numbers, I studied my deals. I learned the market like a predator learns the terrain. That's what strategy really is. It's not just big moves, it's the right moves, on time, with force, over and over again. You know what separates winners from wannabes? Focus, real focus. Most people are chasing 10 things at once and catching nothing. I chased domination, I locked in on it. And everything I did, every dollar, every hour, every phone call was aimed at that. I wasn't interested in being liked. I wasn't interested in being average. I wanted to be undeniable. And I made sure my actions reflected that every single day. So here's your wake-up call. If you want to win, you need a plan. You need a strategy, you need action. You need to stop treating your goals like hobbies and start treating them like a war. Because that's what this is, a war for your time, your energy, your future. And if you don't act like a warrior, you'll get wiped out. If you're not taking ground, you're giving it up. That's how the world works. You can't get stuck in analysis. You can't get frozen in fear. You need to move with speed. I make decisions fast. If I see a deal I like, I don't sit on it. I strike. That's why I never missed a wave. While other people were thinking, I was executing. And sometimes I was wrong. So what? I adjusted. I moved again. The people who win aren't perfect. They're persistent. They stay in the fight. They move more than they miss. And the misses don't kill them, they sharpen them. Let me give you the secret right now. Momentum builds from movement. If you wait until you're ready, you'll never be. You'll still be sitting in the same spot this time next year, complaining about how it's not your time. That's loser talk. You know what winners do? They start, they screw up, they fix it. They get better. And before you know it, they're 5 years ahead of everyone who waited. So let me ask you, where are you moving right now? What are you building? What are you dominating? Are you in motion, or are you still planning your someday? Because someday is a lie. There is no perfect time. There's only now, and now is where winners are made. I built everything with speed and strategy. I moved before people saw the opportunity. I took risks that scared others, and I backed it up with insane work ethic. I didn't stop, I didn't relax, I didn't wait. I built like time was running out, because it always is.